for me this week, I've been thinking a lot about anxiety, to be honest with you, and background anxiety, and either low level or high level background anxiety. And I think there's a lot of people living with that. You know, I was thinking about
We
how
are,
very sensitive people are very nervous about certain situations, and you know, all of that has been heightened over the last 4 years anyway. And there's been a lot of, well,
everyone. Yeah.
interestingly enough, I couldn't find the full moon thing from my friend Claire, because I've been so busy I didn't remind her. But I picked up a little bit from Pam Gregory, and what she was talking about was people feeling in victimhood for the last little while, and how we need to move out of that. And it's very much connected to the planets as well. So that's interesting. Not that they are controlling us. She's always hastening to add that the planets do not control us, that they actually presage what's possible, and then it's up to us what to do about them. So it gives us information and maybe tools to help manage that. So yeah, I mean, I get you, Helen. Yes, we have been living in low level anxiety, or even high level anxiety, for a very long time. Um, but really, yeah, it's been heightened, and we need to move out of that. I mean, I can't play a short clip of Pam. She does a much longer session, so she talks about what's been happening for most of February leading up to the full moon, which is on the 24th, and it's in Virgo. And she talks about, like, 2 days ago. Yes. Um, so she's talking about the 19th in particular. Can I just share that? Can you? I am the co-host. Fabulous, fabulous. We'll just quickly dive into that, because I think it relates to the emotional well-being things. And I've prepared a bunch of stuff about cancer. So that's going to help a few people, because we've talked about this before, but as it's certainly a thing. Um, Let me just get that. Oh, no, I can't do that. Yes, I can. Oh, technology. I love it. I love it. She's talking about AI and being very careful about what we trust, and so on and so forth. So I'm just going, oh, my sound. Sorry. Sorry, got to go back again and do the sound thing. That little button at the bottom always trips me up. Okay, here we go.
Known as the wounded healer, exactly conjunct the North Node 1645 of Aries. Now, this is actually going to give us a glimpse of what could be a bigger issue at the total solar eclipse on the 8th of April, because Chiron is very tightly conjunct the North Node at that total solar eclipse, which is the biggest eclipse of the year. So on the 19th, around the 19th, this could bring up issues around any sickness or illness we have, or any, as I've mentioned, any sense of victim consciousness. We've very, very much been encouraged to live in victim consciousness. And this is a big theme, particularly when Chiron is in Aries. And so, but it's been very pervasive in society. So this gives us an opportunity to see that more clearly at this full moon, in the bright light of the full moon in Virgo, which I'm going to go on to in a moment, but also to begin to heal that sense of victim consciousness. And the South Node in Libra is about people pleasing, giving away our power, never wanting to rock the boat, always going along with the crowd. Because another aspect of Chiron's archetype is being the maverick, being the outsider, being the one who doesn't fit. That's very close to the Uranus archetype too. So many of us in the last few years particularly have had a sense of being the outsider, the maverick, a sense of differentness. We've been excluded to the periphery of society. That's going to start to turn around. We are going to be, particularly with this strong Aquarius energy, ruled by Uranus, as I say, we're going to start to be proud of our difference, proud of being the maverick, proud of being the outsider, and sticking to our own individual truth, being a pioneer, standing strong in our sovereignty. It's all linked to not only Uranus and Aquarius energy, but also to this conjunction of Chiron to the North Node, which, as I say, becomes very strong at the total solar eclipse. I've mentioned before that I believe as we move through 2024, the outsiders will become the leaders. And by this, I mean visionaries, progressives, ideas, people who do not want leadership in any traditional sense. They don't want to take a title to tell people what to do, to impose rules and regulations in any old-fashioned sense. But because of the ideas that they're birthing, or the discoveries that they're coming across, their insight, their research, they are actually beginning to lead a new society, even though they don't want to be established as I am a leader. People will just naturally group around them and say, wow, I want to support that. I want to help that. You know, whether that's that wonderful young chap, Boyan Slat, who runs Ocean Cleanup, which is a voluntary non-profit making organization to clean up, I believe, about 99%, I believe, of the ocean, the world's floating plastic pollution. He's got a way of doing that, or whether it's Nassim Haramehn's brilliant new discoveries in physics and his equations around the creation of reality, or whether it's someone like Robert Edward Grant and his incredible discoveries very, very recently in the last few weeks around the Egyptian pyramids, whether it's someone like that. You know, these are people who are genius level. They are brilliant, but they are creating through their discoveries a new society, a basis for a new society, which is so much more harmonious with the earth than what we've had before. So it's very exciting discovering ancient knowledge.
Okay, I think that it could go on sometime, so I thought we'd better just pause it there. I think that's the most dynamic part of it. It's not specifically to do with the new moon, but I think it's really, really important message right now that, you know, we are all the co-creators, and she repeatedly refers to the People's Health Alliance as being in the forefront of co-creating, because we are doing something new and something special. So the message today is be proud of being an outsider. Oh my God, that for me, that I've always been the outsider, and I've always been, okay, just quietly work away in the background. But this Nassim Haramein thing, okay, can I just mention this? Because this is quite mind-boggling. In another video, Pam Gregory was talking about a discovery he's made. Now, don't ask me how he's done this, because I have no clue. But I've quoted this all week to people because my head's about to explode with this. In every molecule of water, he says, and I think we need to go and look this up and find out how he did the research. In every molecule of water, there are 440,000 pieces of information. And yeah, just think how much information you just swallowed, Helen. You just, there's 1.5 sextillion molecules in every drop of water. Okay,
But
just
we
let that sink in.
We know that water holds memory, so
well, we do, but this takes it to like
putting it on, putting numbers on it. Just, you know, so it's infinite. You know, I wouldn't be able to. I'm surprised that he's put a number.
Well, I am too.
That the information was infinite, literally infinite, because
I agree. There's probably room for more. There's always room for more. Well, you see, what this made me think was that when we think of a molecule, I think it's really small, but in actual fact, once you're inside of it, it might be as big as the universe.
Well, it would be the universe for the molecule.
Like it's the whole thing, two things existing at the same time, right? this is what's driving us all crazy, is that you have the smallest possible thing, but it's the biggest possible thing at the same time. Am
But
I
isn't that
making sense?
already known? Isn't that already known in the macro and the micro? You
Yes,
know, as without, so within. And that
yes,
kind of really solidifies my idea that everything is expansion and contraction. And
yes,
that there is no point, you know, when people talk of a source. And I mean, we're getting a little bit off maybe Wednesday
yeah.
here, but
We could,
when people talk of a source or God or the point of creation, every time I think of that, I think, but the point has more like the molecule, you're going in, and it's a constant in kind of this contraction and expansion, and there's no point. It's just that eternal kind of, and
yeah,
water holds all of that because water
yes,
is one of the foundations of creation,
yes,
in my humble opinion. So the wonder of water, and in terms of, it's almost, forgive me if I'm wrong here, Sarah, homeopathic in terms of the potential for healing and remedy, because you know, some homeopathic remedies are created in water, and
oh,
but
well, all of them, aren't they?
everything is there. Everything is there. So the potential, and I think that this frequency and energy, and there's some sort of synergy, if that's the right word, that comes together with that kind of potential and power that we hold within our consciousness, because we're aware of the potential. So therefore, nothing is impossible.
Yeah,
Nothing.
yeah,
And I think when we cry, talking of it, bringing it to emotional healing, those are tears of liquid water, and there's salt in there, there's other things. So we're releasing potentiality and some of that. And I think to view our crying, because when people think of a woman's being emotional, it can either be she's being angsty or she's crying. And emotional stuff is very much historically attached to women. Definitely in the West, you know, she faints, she feigns, she's emotional. But I think just yesterday or the day before, somebody posted a post saying, you know, when you just burst into tears and you don't know why. And I was like, oh, embrace that gift, because they says, I hate when you just burst into tears. And I was like, embrace that gift that we have been given with our bodies to release the emotion, to release what's pent up. And that can come through our tears and the way that we view our emotions. And when you started to speak, you were talking about anxiety, and that for me was like, so there's emotional health, then there's mental health, and anxiety comes under mental health. Being emotional comes under mental health. So, and we're breaking down our world constantly, but I think allowing ourselves to express through our emotions, anger. I am curious. I know that men cry. It's not that I don't know that men cry, but they're not viewed as being emotional, you know. And there isn't this idea of weakness around being emotional, and yet part of love is emotion, anger is emotion, fear is. There's so many emotions that we have, that we can narrow ourselves down into this box. So I'm kind of rushing because I'm thinking my internet's going to go, and
no,
apparently
it's
I've been.
been really good so far. Very good. It's been very good. That bit's been perfect. Um, yeah, and I
Pam?
think the thing to remember is, how do we navigate this?
Yeah,
And that's our role that we've taken on to help people to do that. So you've mentioned Anamkara, and we
I
need to
have.
remind
Well, in
people
the
about
chat.
that that's available. Would you like to quickly just tell people
Yes.
when and where it is?
Anna Cara, Monday to Friday, online, open Zoom rooms. There's the one on Monday is 5:30 till 6:30. Tuesday is 7:30 till 8:30. Wednesday is 10 till 11. Thursday is 6 to 7. I think I'm terrible at remembering the times. And Friday is 10 till 11. And in New Zealand, there is one in the New Zealand time zone at 10 till 11 on a Wednesday morning. And these spaces were created to aid people in navigating what was going on in terms of their mental health, emotional health, however you wish to. And people have dropped in for practical support. Where do they go for this? Where do they go for that? So part of that is Anamkara was created to help people navigate, and it can be that people just come and sit and say nothing and stay off camera, or that they share. There are qualified and practitioners, or there's a variety of modalities that the benefactors hold. There are neuroscientists, there are psychotherapists, there are counsellors, there are coaches, social workers. There's all sorts of people that you may actually connect with in terms of those holding the space for Anamkara. So that is something that you can get, and we will post a link on the recording, or we will request Kerry to post a link on the recording, both to the Telegram channel that Anamkara have and the Zoom room, which is open on those times. So that is Anamkara. But I was wondering if the men in today's group, because as I said, women, you know, emotional is so attached to women, apart from the anger and toxic masculinity that I've heard so much about. I'm not really sure what's toxic about masculinity at all. I don't think there's anything toxic about it. I think that some men are arseholes, and maybe that's what's gone wrong, but I don't know, as some women are. But if Jean-Marc or Kevin would like to kind of give a male perspective of emotional health, I'd welcome that.
They both look ready. Who's going to go first?
Yeah,
We'll go
Kevin's
first.
still on with got his mic
Well,
off, so I say Jean-Marc.
okay. I think the emotionality very much about also part of how you have been brought up from the beginning, right? You are a man. You cannot cry, right? Why are you crying? And it applies also to the feminine energy, right? For me, yes, I always I don't want to cry. I don't want to let go. It used to be a time where I was holding everything, and because it's something you don't want the people to see you crying, or showing your vulnerability, right, or the emotion. So the only place really, what really saved my life, and because I had the opportunity to, around my village, you was surrounded by forest and nature. So I was going to nature, and I was crying, and I was screaming, and you know, it's the most incredible therapeutic place, because you realize nobody talked to you, nobody harmed you, but everybody listened to you. The bird it's not because you are crying, it's not because you are sad or you are overwhelmed. The bird is not going to stop singing. The rain is not going to stop raining. The wind is not going to stop. The sun is not going to stop shining, right? So from there, what I learned to listen, my mother, my father, what they have to say, my brother, and it brings so much into my therapy, because I was positioning myself in the middle of the forest, and embody the tree spirit, and just listen. I cannot speak. I'm a tree, or I'm these flowers, or I'm this plant. I'm just listen, and I keep doing what I'm doing, what I have to do. But just by being listened, it's an incredible thing. It's an incredible therapy. It is so powerful.
Listening is quite phenomenal, because you get the opportunity to listen to yourself, don't you, as well?
Yeah.
You say you're going to listen. One of the things that when you're on about going to the forest to release the emotion, I think one of the things that's important for people to know in terms of when they're crying, and especially when you're doing that sobbing, snotty, but body wrenching, eye bulging cry, is that you are doing your body an immense service, because you are actually allowing your body to release the tension, because the body holds the score. So the racking, the sobbing, the vibration is such a wonderful thing not to run away from, to allow your body to do that, because it is actually working something else. And we usually have to go and have a good sleep after a good cry, because we've done a phenomenal amount of releasing and work in that, just on the crying front. But I like the idea of going to the forest to release. I think that's quite
Kevin.
beautiful. So
Kevin, are you ready to contribute?
Yes, yes, I'm just checking. Yes, if my voice is coming through okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it's certainly, I support what Jean-Marc has said about your parents, your upbringing, the conditions, your socio-economic group, how you were brought up there. There's so many variables. What country were you brought up in? And from the sort of emotional side of it, having served in a war situation where there is, let's just say, blood and guts, I don't get emotional because I've been trained not to get emotional. You can't get emotional when bullets are flying. You've got to focus. But then I have difficulty not getting emotional watching border collies herding sheep and unconditionally being slaves to the shepherd, enjoying doing it, but their unconditional love. I get emotional watching horses show jumping. What the stuff are they jumping over those poles for, and who for? So there's different sort of levels of emotion, and different times when do you feel emotional for yourself? Do you feel emotional for others? As a health practitioner, yeah, you've got to not take on the other people's emotion. Or if you do, just take it on briefly so that you can understand what they're going through. What a subject to talk about, tonight. It's so wide and variable, and victimhood. When the truth comes out, well, it has come out, but it's not a thing with the scandemic. How do people feel? Where is the world going to in regards to the future? Are we going to have a lot of real eye-opening, revolutionary things? Are we going to have hover cars and a whole lot of other technology that's all patented? When that all comes out, we are going to be very busy with people that have had cognitive dissonance that have suddenly got their eyes open. So yeah, that's enough of me talking.
That was
what's the cat amongst the pigeons?
No, that was brilliant. That was very, very succinct and I think really important. And I think, the thing about going back to Helen and the damp and the clearing, me and my damp. Yeah, Helen wasn't talking about damp. She was talking about crying. But the thing is, it's also a physical thing. If we hold on to our feelings, they do get put in the water in our bodies somewhere, because the body holds all that memory of all those things that we don't even know because we haven't experienced them, but they're still there in our memory because we've taken in the water. Now, what I've also been thinking about this last week or so is what happens to all the detoxing? Where does it go when we flush it down the toilet? Obviously, it's going back into the water supply. So we're sharing.
You don't drink tap water.
We're sharing. Well, we got to get water from somewhere. It's all connected. So it's we're sharing everybody's detoxing as well. So that's just something to bear in mind. But in terms
But this is one of the
medicine,
reasons
sorry.
that this is one of the reasons that filtering what your water is so important, or knowing where your water's coming from as well, and trying to an energetic kind of. I think we spoke about this last week, didn't we?
Blessing the water.
Blessing your water, altering the energetic frequency of your water is so incredibly important, because we are drinking, if you're drinking tap water, it's recycled urine with all sorts of detox with, and I think that's aiding in the feminization of women with the estrogen from the pill.
Hormones.
There's just so many things in the water. So it's incredibly important that we do consciously think about the water that we drink, and when we're cooking with water, and blessing it, you know, whether you do gratitude, whether you do energy work, whatever vibration it is, that you are conscious of the water that you consume on a body level. So
well, yeah, and I was going to say, in terms of Chinese medicine, the damp situation, damp is stagnant water in us, which is why we need to keep refreshing with fresh, good water, good quality, blessed water, as we now know, and also to stop. And moving on into the cancer part of the discussion, cancer is at the root of a lot of cancers is damp and held emotions and trauma and all that kind of thing. So in order
dis-ease,
unease, disharmony, imbalanced. So what I've prepared is a list of foods that are really good for helping drain the damp in the body, and sharing it with the rest of the world. And then also foods with B17 in, because this is another vast whole huge subject. But foods with B17 in can help prevent cancer, and also, you know, I'm sure we're going to get a few little comments on the post when we post it up. Having said that, but I'm not talking about curing cancer. I'm talking about preventing it. So a lot of people use B17. It's a vitamin that is it's activated in the body. It activates with the let me just do some sharing with the pancreatic enzymes. So there's a bunch of foods that people can screenshot. I got that from, where did I get this from? I think it was Philip Day at Credence Publications. And again, I'll put that in the chat so we can give people that link to, because he's got many, many books about cancer. He's been talking about cancer for decades and helping people all around the world really understand cancer better. And then I've just quickly got a sheet for damp draining foods. Now I'll put them into different colors because the red ones are obviously hotter, warmer type of foods, and the blue ones are cooler ones. And in Chinese medicine, we're always trying to balance the temperature as well, cold, and to keep the blood moving. I mean, if you can keep your emotions moving and not get stuck in them, and keep your energy moving in your body, then you've got much less chance of developing serious disease. So yeah, so and the black ones are actually neutral foods. Some of these are obscure Oriental kind of foods, but a lot of them are common, normal, everyday British foods. And I got those from Davrick Leggett, Helping Ourselves, A Guide to Traditional Chinese Food Energetics. He's a very knowledgeable colleague of mine. And then one more thing, quickly, just get this out of the way: sugar and cancer, because there are many, many sources now are saying that sugar is really something that feeds cancers. So, you know, try taking sugar away from your patients. Honestly, I'm just, whoa, it's very, very tricky. But you know, sometimes people really refuse to literally let go of what's killing them. But yeah, I try and encourage people to to think about sugar alternatives, because we haven't got a sweet part of the tongue for nothing. It's not saying you have to live your life without sweetness, because that's really important to the spleen. The spleen is the energy that takes the energy from the food. There you go. He's got a book with recipes in it as well. Thank you, Jean-Marc, for showing that.
My
I
Bible.
want to hold it up and say something, because people won't have seen that unless you actually speak, because the speaker is on the highlight. So, yeah.
Jean-Marc, you need to make sound.
Make a sound. Speak.
What are you saying? That's
Yeah,
the picture of that. Yeah.
that's it.
It's an incredible book, and it's it's very interesting because that's what it do. Depend on what you eat, and I really recommend this book because it really represents which organ need a specific attention, and I like because I like the connection between the spleen and the house, because I'm working a lot with the housing, space alignment. And I always bring the spleen, because the spleen love comfort, love warm, love doesn't like damp, right? So when people, they drink a lot of water, they think they're going to drain something or remove the toxin, but they're creating so much damp in the spleen cannot work anymore. So
especially eating with meals, it's such a bad idea.
yeah, so only warm water.
Drinking meals, sorry. Yeah.
So it's really a very, very good book. Yeah, I've been reading for many years, gone back on it, and
have you got the other
Jean-Marc,
one? Have you got the big white one as well?
no.
It's called Recipes for Healing by, could you put that information in the chat?
I will. It's Recipes for Healing by Davrick Leggett, and he's got the other one, Healing Ourselves, which it's all for the layperson. You don't have to be an expert in Chinese medicine to understand it, because he explains the difference between, and the need for, in Healing Ourselves, it explains why we need to eat in a quiet way, relating to the food, not having business lunches or watching TV or having arguments at the mealtime, all that kind of stuff, focusing on the food, because that is part of the whole process, and not overloading the stomach. And the spleen doesn't like to be, bombarded with lots of different things. So yeah, it's really lovely. Really lovely.
I have a question for Sarah as a homeopath. Is there, within homeopathy, are the remedies similar for emotional health and sort of cancer reducing, cancer eliminating? Because homeopathy goes to the root of things. So you might come and say, I've got cancer, but it might be because of an emotional issue. In my head, this is where I'm making a link. So, and I don't wish to misrepresent any modalities, but does homeopathy, are the kind of causes or the remedies similar? That's the question I have.
Well, when we treat somebody with cancer, with anything, that's what we're looking at. We're looking at, first and foremost, this is what I'm looking at as a homeopath. I'm looking at how they see the world, their experiences, what they're holding on to, their mental and emotional picture. That's what I'm looking at when I'm treating somebody. And you can't separate it. That's the upshot, is you can't separate it. So yeah, they are. They're
There's the synopsis. Yes, they are. I love that. But I think that's one of the things that, as much as it's interesting that emotional health and cancer prevention are in the same week then. I mean, I have an issue with all of these prevention weeks and awareness weeks, but anyway, but they are in the same, apparently they're this week. And yet it is that dis-ease within the body, that the body holding the score, so that they are very much connected. I think it's important that people take care of their emotional health. And for me, it's about honoring that, not only with what you're eating and everything else, but I feel like this. This is, you know, irrelevant, and there's no right or wrong. I think we need to release this idea of how what we do with our emotions may push us in a right or wrong direction, but the emotions themselves, it's not wrong to be angry, it's not wrong to be fearful, it's not wrong to be jealous, it's not wrong to be, you know, there's no wrong emotion. It is just acknowledging, oh my gosh, I'm looking at that person and I want to knock their lights out. I'm filled with this rage and anger. You know, that's fine. Don't go and knock them out, you know, but sit with and like, what is it about this? What is it about this emotion? What is it about this feeling? Where in your body are you experiencing the emotion? Is it in your head and you want to cry? Is it in your stomach? Is it in your knees? You know, where is it that your body is? And taking a moment to just honor that. And anybody that's watched Wellbeing Wednesday know that I'm telling you, honor yourself. But it is about accepting your emotion. This is the reality of the emotion that I am feeling right here, right now. Where in my body am I feeling it? What is it about that person? Because 9 times out of 10, I would say another activates our some of our emotions. There's something, or there's another aspect of, you know, I'd be interested in why animals are great at not only supporting us in our emotions, but also Kevin spoke about when he sees animals doing things that activates emotion within him. So there's something there's a safety within animals that we, you know, because, and one of the things John Mark mentioned, the forest, all of the things that are mentioned are non-verbal in terms of the language that we understand. They are not, and it is that fear of judgment about what will another think or say about my emotion. And in all fairness, what another thinks or says about your emotion is balderdash and poppycock. It's what you think and say about your about what's going on for you within your emotions, and honoring that, and then being able, if necessary, to park an emotion. If it is a violent rage and anger, and I remember when I was training and I found out that all children want to murder their mothers, I was so relieved. It's called murderous rage. At some point you have that expression, and I was just like, oh yes, that's great. But you have to be able to park that and then perhaps find a space, but don't put it away. Parking is not putting things away. It's not ignoring them. It's going, because you don't ignore your car when you park it. You go and find your car again. So with your emotions, apply the same. Don't go put them away so that you can never find them again, and that they're in your body and they are seeking, and they want to be expressed, and it's important. So this is where sports comes into it. I'm thinking of kickboxing, and there are different ways, the arts, the sports. We've always found ways of dealing with our emotions. War is not the way to deal with emotions, and I think we now know that war's got nothing to do with emotions. Oh, those poor women who have no freedom, oh, they make me emotional. No, war's about money, so we're not talking about war, but that energy of and it's why we send our young men, because they've got so much energy, but that needs to be channeled. So whether you channel that into non-combative, I would say non-violent, you know, it doesn't have to be violent, but fine, if you've got lots of energy and you are holding your emotions, go and do some sports, go and do something that expresses that. Go and do a scream workshop if you need to scream, or a rage workshop. Go and get into an ICC. That'll make you jitter. Do you know what I mean? There are things that you can do. Get into nature, connect with the trees, connect with the earth. I'm always going to tell you to connect with the earth. Allow the earth to transmute those energies, because emotion is energy at the end of the day. But don't put it away. You might need to park it. And this is where I do a meditation that is a body meditation, and it's asking your body what it needs. And so, you know, sometimes I do it very quickly because I'm going through it when it's usually being recorded, but learn to and let your body know that you honor it and that you trust it and that you will go back to it, because your body will learn whether you tell the truth to it or not. If you park something and say, I'm coming back to it, and then you don't come back to it, your body where that is parked will know that you're not truthful and honest. And you need to develop an honest relationship with, even if the only honest relationship you have is with yourself, have an honest relationship with yourself. And that will filter out. Yes, Kevin. Sure.
Yeah,
Victoria.
I like your definition of parking, but I just wanted to mention, and the way you say don't park it permanently, I just wanted to bring in post-traumatic stress disorder. If you've parked it for too long, it's no longer part of your system, or is it? Have you buried it so deep that you know, you've got to actually do some NLP or something to get it out again?
Yeah. Post-traumatic stress, PTSD is post-traumatic stress disorder. And it used to be called, there was another term for it, because a lot of people associate it with the military, and it's not. We all undergo trauma, and it is something that you will have the trauma. And this is where there's been, when I'm saying about sobbing as well, and June has put in about the trauma release. One of the things that they have noticed in people that maybe have an accident is that the paramedics will automatically strap them down and stop them from shaking. They will stop the body doing what the body needs to do in order to not break bones and not have insurance claims, or maybe it's in order to make sure that everybody's traumatized. But if you allow your body, when you experience a trauma, to do what it needs to do, the trauma will be released. If you park something and you don't go back to it, the body does hold the score, and it will come out. So you could have experienced, and you won't be, sometimes you don't associate. One of the things that's, I used to say this to people that I worked with, is people won't associate the mass trauma that has been experienced. If in 10 years somebody spills over some milk and blows up, and it's like, well, that was a bit excessive for a bit of milk. So trauma can be shown in ways like that, that there's an excessive response, or what is perceived as an excessive response to something that's negligible. And that can be one of the ways that you can start to realize that you are actually, your body is, you do need to address something. And you may have forgotten what it is that you need to address, because as Kevin said, you've parked it and you've put it in an underground car park that's been locked up or something, so just to be aware of yourself. And I can't emphasize enough, the prevention is absolutely better than cure. But breathing, your breath, it is one of the most amazing tools that you have to aid you in your emotional health, in everything. And as far as I'm aware, there's even oxygen treatment for cancer people. Have you heard of that too, June? Yeah, so the breath is such a powerful, powerful tool. We've done box breathing, we've done belly breathing, but just go and go, I'm breathing here, just bring your focus to your breath if you're finding it difficult to park something and you need to. Because sometimes, if you're having a meeting or something, it's not, bursting into tears isn't always, or expressing massive amounts of anger, it's not always feasible. And this is where your breath really does assist. Breathe, count to 10 and breathe. As your granny used to say, count to 10.
Yeah, you need to find an appropriate place and a safe place to express your emotions. That's the most important thing. And that's why we do have that facility to park things, because we can save them until it's safe to do so. But then sometimes we forget and they get buried in the underground car park, and we need to let them out. Trauma release therapy is very good, because it follows what animals do when they're traumatized. They shake to let things out. And a trauma, by its very definition, is a shock. And that's the other thing we're having lots of lately, is plenty of shocks. So we're not only being, feeling victimhood, we're also feeling endless repercussions of shocks, like being slapped around the face with something. It's quite. So I love the vagus nerve exercises, and I want to spend some time doing those, but not today. I would like to show people how to do it. Stanley Rosenberg wrote this amazing book, Accessing the Healing Power of the Vagus Nerve, and there's loads of videos all over YouTube with other people doing it. But I would like to do it for our audience, because they may not.
There's some really quick things that you can do for the vagus nerve. Isn't one of them to look to the left for as long as
there's
possible?
one.
And
The first one.
The
first one. We'll just do the first one. You take your hands like that, put them at the back of your head, and stick your elbows out. Now, this is really comfortable to do lying down, because if you're sitting up, sometimes you can end up raising your shoulders too tightly, or you can't get yourself in this position sometimes, but lying down you can. And then you take your eyes to the left to look at your left elbow or your right one, it doesn't matter, start with one. And you just hold it there for about 20 to 30 seconds, or until you get a sigh or a yawn. There you go, Helen. Yeah, it's already happening. And then you do the other side. And oh, there we go. I've already done mine this morning once, so I
So
yeah.
that's my favorite position during the day when I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
there's and I think when you are aware, in homeopathy, in homeopathy, we're treating also the emotion which are stuck into the miasm, right? The miasm are very, very powerful, and I did in my technique, in my therapy, I made this chart.
Oh.
And at the back, I listed all the meaning, all the miasma. And when you work on the body, right, and you see the body, I remember this woman arrived and she had like the difference between the two legs were 4 centimeters. And I did only this therapy, so I check which miasm is affecting the person, and I got some card, which is they look like that. So it's the essence of the miasma. It's the information. So by just putting them on the body, right, at a very specific area of the body, and you just look how the body came into alignment. Because you're removing is so deep and so fast, right? You're removing this miasm, which are being, at the end of the day, it's an emotion we have been carrying for many years. So you got the trigger one, the one they are on the surface, and you got latent. Latent, that's also the one we have to be aware of it, because they are the one behind all the chronic problem. And the first one, they come up with the miasma, it's an animal. And we got the 11-man miasma. And in homeopathy, we got also all the remedy to dissolve all the miasma. So nobody talk about this thing. Nobody, it's only in homeopathy you learn about miasma. And in energetic, I'm teaching about miasma when I'm teaching my technique.
We're all learning so much every single day. Every single day we're learning more and more. And this is the thing, we have the capacity in every molecule of water to hold all that information. So it's great.
Yeah.
Just we're going to have to go, aren't we, Helen? Did you say you have to go?
I have to go, yes, but I mean, I think that if I just leave the meeting, you will still be able to continue with
I'll close it down. Yeah, okay. I just quickly wanted to mention about a shock I had last Saturday. I fell off the bottom step of the stairs at work
Ouch.
because I was looking at my phone trying to find the bit where Pam was talking about the water thing, because I wanted to tell my students about the water thing. So I was going to let the person in and I missed the bottom step, landed on both my knees, and my chin hit the door.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ouch.
And I had to teach all afternoon. This was like right at the very beginning. So I used my emotional stress release. I did my jaws and I did my knees, held my knees and my emotional stress release, took loads of emergency essence, and I was fine. If you can keep the energy moving when you have a shock straight away, that's ideal. If you can just release it and not hold it right then and there, that's another thing I just wanted to add that in there. So yeah, my neck
Well,
is still not quite right though, but anyway.
Before we go, and we've spoken about moving the body, can we all do a little bit of a shimmy and a shake?
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, just kind of start off with, you can do this sitting or standing. We'll start with just gently shaking the hands. And then we'll move the hands to incorporate the arms. So the arms, and you can't move your arms, you know, so without moving your shoulders, and then move your chest and your buttocks and your legs. And if you just do a little tiny tap, if you're sitting, tapping your feet or running, and then just really get into a shimmy and a shake. And shake it all. And just as you're shaking, listen to your body. Do your shoulders want to be turned? Does your head want to nod? But oh, be careful what you're doing. Honor it, tilt it, shake it, bend it, twist it, shake it. Just a little, you know, go for it. Have a good old shimmy shake. And then
Shake it, shake it, shake it.
shake it like a Polaroid picture. Do you remember the Polaroid picture?
That was brilliant.
And on that note,
Thank
I'm going to
you.
disappear, June, and I hope that it
Albie,
doesn't
I think we
disconnect
can
from
end
the
it there
recording.
and say, sorry we missed Kerry, but she will be back next week.
Sorry, we missed the first 10 minutes and all the rest of it too.
Oh,
Kevin, Kevin, is that your hand going up, or you talking to us or someone else, Kevin? Would you like you? This is a bit like charades. Is it a film? Is it a bird? Sounds like.
Yeah, no, I was just trying to save the chat, and normally there's 3 little dots at the bottom of the chat thing that if you click on it,
yeah.
you can save chat.
Chat
and I
will be
can't see
saved.
it on this on today's lot.
Oh,
The chat will be saved onto my computer, I think, because it's my
it'll
computer.
be saved onto the
recorded.
cloud with the recording.
All right. And I think
Normally,
Kerry usually posts.
normally if I click on save chat, it goes to a Zoom folder on my computer. That is, I didn't load that Zoom folder. The Zoom program did.
Yeah.
But normally on the bottom right, there's normally 3 dots there, and if you click on it, you can then click on save chat.
You can click on the 3 dots and it will tell you to copy the text. So you could open a document and copy the text and onto the bits of text that you want. What I usually do is click on the links to open the links in my browser if I'm not on my phone. And then I have that on it goes directly to the, what? It goes directly to the site that's been mentioned.
It's not working, Helen. I can see what Kevin's saying. I can only click on the ones that I posted, and it says delete, gives me the option to delete them, but it doesn't give any copying, and I can't click on anybody
or maybe
else's.
That's just the.
Yeah,
if I click the more
know.
button on, say, Kevin's link to the book, it does offer me the opportunity to copy that.
Does it?
Yeah, it gives me the opportunity to copy. I don't know if that's because I'm the host at the moment.
Well, I'm a co-host. I don't know. Anyway, technology.
Kerry usually, I will send the chat to Kerry, but she usually does post all the links that are there when she posts the recording.
Are you saving it to your computer? Aren't you saving it to the cloud?
It automatically saves to my computer. It might save to the cloud as well, but it will automatically save to my computer. But what we need to do now then is stop the recording, because I don't think people want to hear us with our technical difficulties. So thank you so much for joining us today. And as we have delved into emotional health and cancer. Strange combination, but yet utterly a bit like coffee and cream, perhaps. And you can find us on Rumble, YouTube, and on Telegram. There's lots of places to find the PHA. The website is the-pha.org. And there will be links to all sorts there if you need assistance. So yes, thank you very much. And on behalf of the People's Health Alliance, I wish you all a well-being Wednesday. So thank you. Let me now stop. Where's it gone? I can't. Why can't I stop the recording?
Yes,
up the
top.